Hi there and welcome to, this is grade 9 science. This is lesson 3, charging by conduction and induction. And after this short little lesson, you'll know what the terms conduction, induction, and grounding refer to, and you'll be able to understand the difference between conduction and induction. All right, let's begin. You should have a handout with you and fill in some blank notes, and let's begin. So a neutral object, usually a conductor. First of all, we're going to be talking about charging by contact, which is conduction. You might want to actually highlight that right here. I'll just draw a line under it, right here. Charging by contact or conduction. So a neutral object, usually a conductor, can be charged by coming into contact. Contact is the key word here, with a charged object. Charge is transferred between the charged object and the neutral object. And if you need to pause the video as to you're getting down some of these words, it's probably a good idea. So here we have a neutral copper pipe on an insulated stand. You can tell it's neutral. There's positive and negative signs here, equal numbers of each. It is neutral. We have a positively charged rod over here. It might have been rubbed with rabbit fur or something like that. It's been given a positive charge. When the positive charged rod touches the neutral copper pipe, the electrons begin to flow toward the rod. So these electrons here, because there's an excess of positive charge over here, they are attracted to that, and the negative charges on the neutral copper rod tend to move towards this end of the positive charged rod. Once you remove the rod, okay, you see there's a separation here. Once you remove the rod, these negative electrons will stay with the positively charged rod, which means that there's less electrons over here, which means that the pipe is now more positive. Many people would think that the positive protons here are transferred to the neutral. That's what makes it positive, but that is not true. What actually happens is the negative electrons from the neutral copper pipe are transferred to the positive, leaving an excess, leaving extra positive protons on the neutral copper pipe. So it is now positive. The second type of charging is by induction. That's the word we're going to use. And this is charging without touching. Okay, it's a little bit more difficult. So there's a temporary induced charge. Temporary, of course, means just for the time being. A negatively charged object is brought near a neutral conductor, just like we had before. Oh, this time it's a negative charge. The negative charge repels the negative charges at the end of the conductor nearest to it. So here we have a neutral copper pipe. Here we have a negative rod. It's brought in close. And because these electrons here repel these electrons here, these ones here on the copper pipe are moved towards this end. So now what we have here is we have two different regions. We have a positive sort of region. We have a negative region on this end here. This creates what we call a charge separation. The conductor now has a positive end and a negative end, right here. The presence of the negatively charged object has induced or created, without any contact, a positive and negative charge on the ends of the neutral conductor. Now, what would happen if we removed this negative charge? If we remove this, what happens to these electrons here on the neutral copper pipe? Well, what happens is these electrons here will flow back towards the positives, and they'll spread out, and the whole thing will become neutral again. That's what happens. There is a way to make this permanent. A permanent induced charge requires one more operation in the process you've just completed. And this extra operation is referred to as grounding. To ground an object means to provide a conducting path between the object and the earth. The earth is a vast storehouse of both positive and negative charge, and so the earth will take as many electrons as you can send at it. If a human is part of that grounding process, this can be extremely dangerous. If you ground a charged object and allow the electrons to go through you to the earth, well, that could kill you. So don't do that. The earth, as I said, is a huge reservoir of both positive and negative charges, so it can easily absorb or release negative charges to an object when necessary. Grounding can also be used to neutralize a charged object. you can ground small objects with small electrostatic charges by touching them. So to do a permanent induced charge, these are the steps. Set up the apparatus and charge the neutral copper tube as shown. So here we've got, this is the neutral one over here. This is the negative charged rod over here. And when you bring it close, these electrons here will move towards this end of the neutral pipe, creating that charge separation. The next step is to touch the copper tube with your finger. Now what this does, here's your finger, what this does is that it allows the negative charges to travel from the copper tube to the ground through your finger. Okay, so the negative charges go to your finger, through your body, and into the ground, and you'll receive a small shock. Now you'll notice that there are less negative electrons on this copper tube. The next step, remove your finger from the copper tube, leaving the charged plastic straw where it is. Now remove the charged plastic straw. So your finger, which was once right here, has been removed. And the copper tube over here has been removed. You'll notice now that what we've got is we've got more positive charges than we do have negative charges. So what is the overall charge in the tube now? Well, it is positive. Why is it positive? Because there are more positive charges here than there are negative. All right, so that is charging by induction. Let's just review the learning targets for this, and let's see if we covered them. You should know the terms conduction, induction, and grounding. Conduction, of course, refers to charging by contact. Induction refers to charging without contact. Grounding is removing electrons and putting them into the ground, or putting electrons from the ground onto an object. And you should understand the difference between conduction and induction. The main difference there is touching or not touching. All right, so that's lesson 3. Have a great day.